Hello and welcome to today's episode. My name is Robert Simon. You know me as Bishop. I'm here today with Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles, welcome to the
Thank you.
studio.
Thank you for having me in your program.
Nice to have you around.
Thank you very
So
much.
I started this teaching. I made a short video on Paul and Apollos, what Paul said concerning the
Yeah.
situation in the Corinthian church there.
Yeah.
I want us to talk about it.
Sure.
Let's pick up from where I left off. So you see Paul talking about the Corinthian church where we have this group of people who say we belong to Paul, we listen to Paul, we follow Paul, and the other group who say we belong to Apollos, we listen to Apollos, we follow Apollos. I want to ask you, do you see that happening in the church today?
Yes, it is.
Mm,
In fact, I'll tell you, it's still happening. And not just was it a problem in Paul's time,
mm,
I think it's something the church will always have to deal with
mm, mm,
because there is always diversities of calls
mm,
or callings. Like what Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 12, he said, there are diversities of ministration, but the
mhm,
same
mhm,
spirit, difference of administration, the same Lord.
mhm,
So, you know, because, Christians grow to attain maturity.
mm,
So at the level of some Christians, they tend to take sides.
mm,
Okay, because this minister was the one I got converted with or by,
mm,
they tend to stick with that one for life, in quote,
mm,
which is not correct.
mm.
Because every season in a man's life, there are different messages, in quote, he needs to move to the next level.
Basically, different measures for different
Thank
seasons.
you very much.
Mm.
So if a man says, I'm going to stick with a particular message, I think that would be very wrong.
Okay, I think basically what you're saying now, we can liken it to a child that is born, grows, goes to elementary school,
Thank you very much.
nursery school, primary school,
Yes.
elementary school.
Yes.
Basically,
You can't subject a
you
child
can't stay in
in
primary school
primary school.
forever if you're
No,
going to
no,
grow. You
no.
have to shift from primary school, go to
Yes.
secondary school.
Yes.
If you're going to advance in life, you have to move from secondary school, you go to university. So you
I
keep
like the
shifting.
illustration you just used because when you look at it, you can't say because I love my teacher in primary one, so I will stick with
Stay in primary
I'll
one.
stay in primary one. You know that kind of a thing
Yeah.
because that teacher was designed to teach
Hmm,
a primary one student.
hmm,
You have to move further. If you have to change teachers
hmm.
if you want to move to the next class.
Wow. Wow.
So in such cases, the Lord has given specific mandates to different ministers.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them are just at their duty post.
Hmm,
So you have to be sensitive enough to know at this point, I think I need to move.
hmm,
You're not dishonoring the man of God,
hmm.
but for you, you have to move.
You have to move.
So personally, there are teachings I listened so many years ago,
Hmm,
and I know I could. Now, I'm not, in any way trying to dishonor the man,
hmm,
no, but I know that's what God has called him to do.
hmm, hmm,
But for me, I don't think I still belong there, so I have to move on.
hmm.
But I honor him for watering me at that time.
No time, yeah.
But time comes in your life, you have to move on because of what God has called you to do, and you have to listen to other messages.
Hmm,
So these things are very important, and I think the leaders of our churches, when they are interconnected,
hmm.
it will help the younger
Very
believers.
important. Very important.
Because, for instance, if Minister A rapports with Minister B and Minister C rapports with Minister A,
Mhm.
the members of all these three denominations say,
Mhm.
oh, that means I can listen to him. If my GO
Mhm.
can talk to this man, that means he's a
Wow.
good man.
Wow. Yes.
That means I can listen
Yes.
to his messages. So
Yes.
that will go a long way to curb and these,
So can we say this is the reason why we don't have so many mature Christians nowadays?
of course, I think it's part of the reason. The Bible also says you should work out your salvation in fear and trembling. So each believer has a duty,
Responsibility.
a responsibility to work out his maturity, in quotes.
Hmm.
So it's not just, they say you can take a horse to the stream, but you can't force it to drink.
Yes.
Your minister can do all he can, but there are things he will not do for you.
Mhm.
Your minister will not fast for you.
Okay.
Your
So you see, our discussion brings me to a vision I once had. There was a time where I just wasn't really relating with what was happening in my church then. So I was basically going to church, serving in church,
Okay.
just doing my stuff. I go to church and wait for when we close. I do my own stuff. So I started feeling bad at some point. I thought maybe it was pride because I wasn't relating with the message anymore. I actually thought I'd become proud. That's why I wasn't really receiving the word. Maybe I pride has come in and I think I'm bigger than this stuff. So So I was praying. I prayed and I asked God. I said, God, please show me. Please correct me. If this is pride, please fix this. If it is not pride, help me understand what's really happening with me. And then in a vision, God opened my eyes to see. I was walking. I was in school, wearing school uniform. I was walking past some classes, and then I saw my PA at the time was coming. And in the school setting, I was in SS3, and that same school setting, she was in SS2. And I asked her to go get me some textbooks, and she went to go get textbooks. And I saw my pastor at the time teaching an SS1 class, but I was in SS3. So when I woke from the vision. That's when I understood what was actually happening to me. It wasn't that pride that entered into me. It was just that the class. So there was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with my pastor. The only issue here was the class he was teaching and the class that I belonged to. So I think we have many people who are watching these videos now, and some of you actually think you become proud because you're at that stage where you have outgrown the message at the place where you are. There's nothing wrong with the pupil moving from primary school to secondary school. It is not because the child hates the primary school, that's why he leaves the primary school. It is not because the primary school is a bad primary school, that's why the child is leaving the primary school, going to secondary school. Or it's because the secondary school is a bad secondary school, that's why the child is leaving the secondary school and going to university. It is basically because the measure that child needs to become full, measure is in another stage. So the child needs to make the move from one stage to the next stage. So I think some people actually feel if a member has to leave your church and go to another church, or if a member has to listen to another pastor, then something is wrong with the pastor. When absolutely nothing is wrong. What do you have to say about that?
No, I think that's a very good point. Different believers are at different level of growth, or speed of growth. Some persons are growing faster than the others. Now, if you're a very smart shepherd, you'll be able to pick that. And this is very important for shepherd and ministers because they ought to grow too very speedily. Because if a pastor is not growing, he tends to limit in a way the growth of the members. Yes. And then if a member is growing faster than he is, he sees a kind of competition. Yeah. He now sees a kind of a threat. But nonetheless, you see, the Bible says that wisdom is profitable to direct. And the Bible says that God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. Now, however, if a member in a particular church feels or believes that he has grown more than his pastor, now, wisdom demands that you don't cause division in the church. That's where you'll be extremely humble. Some things you will just do, for instance. So you don't misinterpret, for instance, a pastor is ministering and you know that this is a lesser revelation. How do you respond to it? A lesser light. How do you respond to it? In a way, you just be quiet.
Because many of them begin to discuss these things with some other members. You start looking up to them and turn away from the pastor.
Turn away from
this pastor. Division we talk about. Wow, this powerful.
You see. So that believer that in quote says, "Now I've grown more than the pastor," in quote. That's what the Lord demands from such believer to be very smart, and the Bible says David behaved himself wisely. To be very smart and wise. So at this point, you be very quiet. This is when you have to be very watchful because the Lord will ask you these things. Now, you don't, after a pastor have preached a message that has blessed everybody, maybe for at that time, that is not for you because you've passed. But at that time, it's also for somebody else.
Yes.
Now, if you go and start saying this man is teaching baby teachings, you're going to spoil the minds of the men, the people that are even not up to the pastor's level. And you're going to be stopping them from listening to the pastor. So it will be affecting their growth. It will be affecting their mentality concerning a pastor that is over them to bless them. So you could spoil their mindset, and then they will, the flow to receive from their man of God would have reduced because of that mindset. So, however, God demands wisdom from such believers, and then you wait, in quote, for when the Lord will say, it is time for you to leave. So you have to watch that point. So, but while he's keeping you there, just be smart, be wise, and stay humble.
Yes. Honor what is teaching. Because I think we'll wrap up with this. When I was in primary school, we we were taught 1 minus 2 is impossible. Whenever the teacher writes 1 minus 2, we all shout in the class, impossible.
It doesn't work.
Because it's not possible to take
Yeah.
2 out of 1.
Yeah.
But then we now got to secondary school, and then my teacher came to the class one day, and he wrote on the board and said 1 minus 2.
Minus
And everybody
one.
shouted impossible, and he started laughing. And he said, you're about to see new things now. No, so for primary school, that was the measure.
Yeah.
For elementary school, that was the measure. But for high school, secondary school, we met a completely different measure. We started dealing 1 minus 2 was equal to -1.
One.
We started dealing with higher things.
Yeah.
So if you are the believer who is now in elementary school, is in secondary school, and you have already started dealing 1 minus 2 is -1, do not burn down the house that still teaches 1 minus 2 is impossible, because for that level, that's what they can comprehend. So I think we need to pick up from this. I see more of this coming up. We need to begin to talk about measures and dimensions from here, so people know what stage of growth they are in, and then from there, they know how to comport themselves there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Mr. Charles, for coming. I look forward to having you for the next video, so we can continue from where we start.
Sure.
God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. My name is Robert Simon. And keep watching this page for more.